We really need to be conscious about suppressing automobile usage. It has to be an explicit policy goal. Traffic is a form of pollution. It degrades our world. It harms people, and it needs to be considered as such. And we need to do what we can to minimize that traffic. We have both explicitly promoted driving in this country as an inherent good and also accommodated it as a necessity. Well, neither of those things is true, and we should be examining every single policy decision we have and asking ourselves, is this going to lead to more or less driving? And we need to explicitly be choosing policies that lead to less driving. And as a first step, we have to stop building new road capacity and stop expanding roads. This just leads to more traffic. We have learned by now that you cannot build your way out of congestion, and it only makes things worse. By 2040, Portland's net benefits from bicycling in the form of fuel savings and reduced healthcare costs alone will amount to $1.2 billion, a return on investment ratio of 8.3 to 1. And I would say that any time we as a society can make an investment that's going to return 8 to 1, we should do as much of that as we can. Yet when we try and find money to invest in cycling projects, you know, we have to beg and get crumbs here and there. Yet when someone wants to spend billions of dollars on a highway boondoggle that if we're lucky will return 20 or 30 cents on the dollar, you know, that money is somehow always available. And I will say that, you know, the United States is a very wealthy society, but if we waste enough money on poor infrastructure investments and only get 20 or 30 cents return on the dollars, we will bankrupt ourselves no matter how wealthy we are. And so I have here two maps, and these maps show net population flow from different counties in the United States. And in the bottom right you see all those red lines emanating from Detroit. And red means net population outflow. And basically, people are fleeing Detroit. Detroit is a city that, as much as anywhere on this planet, has enthusiastically adopted the automobile really to its fullest extent. And these policies have been essentially suicidal for the city of Detroit. And the slightly larger map with the black lines, which show net population inflow, represents San Francisco. And you can see San Francisco is a mecca from talented people from around the country who are moving there because it's such an exciting, dynamic city. But if you look closely at the San Francisco map, you'll see that there's one place that San Francisco is losing people to, and that's Oregon, which is actually doing things even better than San Francisco. And this is probably proof as much as anything that the policies that Oregon has followed for the last several decades are working and are an enormous success. But then I see projects like the Columbia River crossing, and I wonder to myself, you know, how is it that a state that has done so many things right, that has really been thoughtful, you know, long-range planning, is looking to emulate the policies that have crippled cities from Detroit to Cleveland, St. Louis, Buffalo, cities across the country that have promoted automobilization are suffering and are looking to find a way to reverse course. And so I wonder, how is it that Oregon, who should know better, is talking about projects like this? How is it that you know, I hear stories about the Portland City Council mandating parking minimums for apartment buildings built near transit, and the Portland Business Alliance successfully opposing protected cycle lanes. And I realize that there's the forces of thoughtless automobilization are very strong everywhere. To a thinking individual, it's really hard to see why you would want to do that. I mean, at this point, I really think projects like this are mostly a form of political corruption more than anything else. And fighting corruption is very, very difficult. I mean, the corrupting forces in our society are very powerful and very wealthy. And they get their way frequently. We basically have a policy in this country of just making sure there's parking everywhere. It's a completely dysfunctional policy. Parking lots are dead spaces that really kill the vitality of a city. I mean, if you're walking around, who would want to walk past or block after block of just dead space like that? And people don't, and the vitality of these cities is really radically diminished. If you're going to build a place that's wonderful for people, cars don't fit there. And we, at some point we have to make a choice what sort of world we want.